Greetings from the abyss, Felgus here, and today I'm going to talk about why I am not a fan of the new anime adapting the manga Solo Leveling. I gave it a chance, I really did, but I don't like it because I think it's a glorified isekai in all but name. And it does certainly have isekai elements, but beyond the first episode, where Jinyu faces the double dungeon, after maybe second episode, I never felt the character was ever in danger in any real risk. He leveled up, became uber overpowered right away, and he has not faced any enemy that has challenged him since. I mean, even in the latest season, season two, in the finale, when he fought the King Ant, the dude only struggled a couple times barely in that fight. And then when it looked like the ant was actually going to beat him because he's the quote unquote player now, the system literally ass pulled an ability for him so he could beat the Ant King. He got the whole mutilator, ability of double striking with his magical sword. I was like, finally, when the ant was about to kill him, maybe this dude will get almost killed and then come back or something. But no, they had to do an ass pull ability. I mean, this is not good storytelling. Jinyu is Gary Stu. He's the male version of Mary Sue. He's a Gary Stu if I ever saw one. I mean, he's like equal parts, since his recovery, the first couple episodes, season one. I'm talking, of course, about the anime exclusively, so don't get, in here complaint, saying, oh, you haven't read the manga, you haven't read the manga. But no, miss me with that crap. Just miss me with it. But getting back to Jinwoo, he's like, or Jinyu, however the hell you say his name, whatever the heck. He is a complete Gary Stu. The guy is like, his personality is like equal parts cold, calculating, and cocky. He's right down arrogant. And especially after in season two, he stopped hiding that he's now like a super SS rank or whatever he is. He's the player. He's the chosen one, which I hate the chosen one trope anyway, especially when it's abused in cases like this. But no, never in any battle, any struggle he's had since that first episode, which was admittedly brutal, I have never felt that this dude is in any danger. I mean, you contrast this with like characters like undergoing the actual hero's journey, like Clutch characters like Naruto, like Goku, like like the guy whose name escapes me right now from the pink-haired guy, the protag from one of my current favorite shonen anime, Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's Dory or something like that, or Tori, or um, where he becomes host to the King of Curses. After eating the fingers there, he has his own abilities beyond that, but they're late and haven't really been developed yet. But he eats like the King of Curses there. He eats like one and two of his fingers, and he like kind of, with the help of the Academy, holds them at bay. And for the first couple seasons, it almost is like taunting him at times, and like thinks he can control him, and use some of his powers. And, that's kind of like a goal, a kind of bleed over because he's his host. But then, boy, oh boy, does he pay the price for it? Unlike Jinwoo, he pays a terrible price at the end of the latest season of the anime of Jujutsu Kaisen when his King of Curses, their a wizard there who's become a curse that he's in his own right that he's like hold he hosts his spirit. Oh boy, oh boy, when he's unleashed, our Nasethan protag can't do anything about it. He literally destroys using his body. He destroys several city blocks and kills thousands of people. And our protag ends up being a pariah, thrown out of the academy, and now being hunted from the character from the pre-show of the movie, who is a monster in his own right. He's a good guy, but he has very monstrous abilities. He can create like yokai, like basically they're called curses in Jujutsu Kaisen. He can create these curse beings and control them. He's like super overpowered. He's now being sent basically as an assassin, a contract killer, to kill our protag. And our protag is just devastated by the guilt, and he's just there in the crater after he gets back to Crow's body. He's like, just, oh my God, what has happened? Just a look on his face and his reaction. He just looks there. He's like completely broken. He like effed around, as the kiddies say, and he found out. Or another good example of people, having to undergo these horrible setbacks and failing or almost failing and everything being on the line and then growing out of that and just not curb stomping every villain they face is another classic example in this case is Yu-Gi-Oh! With Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Pharaoh. I mean, the whole Duelist Kingdom arc, the first major arc, when Pegasus takes the soul of his grandfather and Seto Kaibo's little brother and defeats Seto, his rival. And then he goes into the duel there and wins the Kingdom tournament, has to face, the cheater and, OP character there, the first boss, in my opinion, the best boss in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of plateaued there when he faces Pegasus. Wow. Pegasus basically reading his mind of all these tailored cheat cards in the card game. And then he brings out like the tunes and eventually like Relinquish combines him with Thousand Eyes Restrictor, can absorb monsters and paralyze them. And Yugi's on the ropes. I mean, they're shuffling their minds, him and the Pharaoh, spirit of the Pharaoh, and his body back and forth. And it looks like for a while, Yugi dies. He like dies during that duel due to the stress of this. And Pegasus is about to wipe the floor to winner take all, using his Millennium Eye to like read the mind of Yugi and the Pharaoh. And then once, Yugi dies or almost dies, goes dormant, it's only the Pharaoh's mind in there, and there's nothing to prevent him but the connection with Yugi's friends and Yugi's last card they depend on that he drew there. Doesn't fully block it, but he plays that last card, and it's just a combination of the whole heart of the card mythos and double up that he wins. But boy, oh boy, he nearly loses, and he nearly loses everything. And up to that point, his rival's been defeated, his rival's brother's been kidnapped, his friends are in danger, his grandpa's soul's on the line, he himself, Yugi, almost dies, the true protagonist, and only, comes back, just barely afterwards, and takes him about a whole season to recover after that. Or Goku, take Goku. Gets killed, in the Saiyan saga there, like defeating Raditz, have to go to the next world, learn Kaioken, then defeats Vegeta and Nappa barely, and even though, of course, you have the Deus Ex Machina of the Dragon Balls, but still, bring them back when they die. Then he goes to, like, Namek, and he, like, fights through Frieza's minions only to face Frieza. And even with Kaioken, he's freaking losing. He is freaking losing. It looks like Frieza's going to kick the shit out of him. So Frieza basically starts destroying all his friends. He kills his best friend Krillin, threatens then to kill his son next. And only then does he unlock his potential and become a Super Saiyan. And even after that, he's like, got the heart virus to deal with. He's got the android. He like tries to like use his powers there, like instant transmission, which he learned in the interim, to get rid of Cell, and that fails. Cell's left on Earth, regenerating, from some cells, nucleus left over. And Goku now is in the afterlife, which I think he got rid of him. His son, which he's not sure is ready yet, even with all the training between the android and Cell saga. He has to he just has to sit back, horrified as an onlooker. Why Goku, why Gohan, the son, is eventually able, doesn't want to be a fighter, has to muster his strength, because if he doesn't, Cell's going to kill everyone on Earth and tells him so. I mean, you don't see any of these setbacks or emotional beats or losses with Jinyu and Solo Leveling. He's just like an isekai protagonist. That's all he is. And that's why I rate it 2 out of 5. I can't even give it a 2.5 or average. I give it a little bit below average because there's no story there. There's a whole mystery, of the system and why he's the player and that sort of thing. But that's all there is. He's got a bland, unlikable character. He's arrogant. He's cold. He's so OP. He never faces a serious challenge after the first couple of episodes. He just gets everything handed to him on a silver platter with no training or struggle of any sort. The stakes are non-existent. Unlike those 2 examples, or 3 examples I just quoted. There are no stakes, there are no setbacks, thus there is no character growth. You just got a flat character arc completely. It's not even a negative one at times, or dips. And I mean, even the character, spoiler alert for the manga, is going to be his future wife. She's like hurt right now after he like basically defeated the unstoppable King Ant monster, but she's going to be fine because he's going to ass pull some ability. Like how he literally, when he was about to die, and those around him we don't really even care about, he just like dominating them, the other Ethereal hunters. He just ass pulled that new ability at the last second, literally, and killed the king. And he's going to ass pull some ability and free, and free up her manga or bring her back to life or something. So it's not a good show. It's not. I mean, contrast that even with another recent shonen like uh, Kaiju number 8. I mean, look what happens to the protagonist in that. He gets the powers from the parasite, becomes a humanoid kaiju, has to hide it. Joins the defense force because he wants to stand by his like childhood friend slash what will we call it? Unrequited love interest. And then finally, when he's making some progress, he doesn't even try to rely on that kaiju power, except for when other humanoid kaiju show up. Then he's found out, and he has to face like the head of the defense force, who's like the father of a girl he's become friends with, a younger girl, and he loses control and almost kills them. And and there's a point where they're going to like put him down, and they're all worried about him because they see him as an uncontrollable kaiju, where the defense force wants to exploit him anyway as a weapon. So there's the stake of his freedom, if not his survival, but there are no stakes with Jinwoo. And solo leveling, there's nothing. It's just a naked power fantasy. That's all it is. It's like I say, what reminds me of your typical isekai protag, where they end up going to this world, they have completely bland personalities, not unlikable. Then they get an OP skill or a series of them, everything's handed to them in a silver platter. They defeat every enemy, without effort, no matter how apparently strong at the beginning of the battle these enemies are. Then they get surrounded by a whole bunch of waifus who love them. And they get surrounded by a whole bunch of secondary characters who love them, sometimes even converting enemies into either waifus or allies, and they all love them for like, no reason. Or take Subaru and ReZero. Look at the hell he goes through with, Return by Death. And I can't even, go into all the terrible things happen to him. Like when he has like the semi-love affair with Rem, and her personality gets eaten by one of the thin archbishops there, or the two of them of gluttony, or the horrific thing that happens to him, but he returns by death, but still, to a few hours or days before, but still when he gets eaten by that rabbit monster. It's the multiple rabbits. I mean, the horrible things that happen to this guy, the traumatic, crap he's going through, he's got to have PTSD. People say, oh, well, it's so like an asshole. He's like, no, that's the whole point. The return by death is like not a blessing, it's a curse. Just imagine how messed up this guy must be. But Jinwoo, no, he just goes through completely. So, in my opinion, avoid solo leveling. The only nice thing I can say about it is it has great anime, and great fight scenes. But it is not a good show. It is not a good show at all. It has a super thin plot and a very bland, at times unlikable protest. And there's no suspension of disbelief. I never once believed he's in danger, or he's even going to have any character growth. So signing off from the abyss, this is Selgris telling you, just say no to solo leveling.